This is Sparta!
Broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown studios, talking York's home teams. Welcome to York College Spartan Sports Weekly on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. Now, here are your hosts of Spartan Sports Weekly, Darrell Henry and Scott Guise.
And Derek, and welcome to this edition of York College Spartan Sports Weekly. It is a great Monday. Do you guys feel like champions today? I know there's a Spartan that feels like a national champion today, and that's where we start this show.
I would say very championship worthy. So, had a pretty good weekend. The weather's looking nice for later this week. It's gonna be a fantastic week, Darrell.
Indeed, and like we said, we start off this show with the news that we have an individual national champion at York College. This is, I would think, the story of the athletic year and maybe beyond. I mean, this is big stuff. So we started off with Kyle Walthall, who went to Greensboro with high hopes. He comes back with eventually his name to be on a banner in our gym and some national championship hardware to go with it.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. Friday night, Kyle earned the third national championship in York College history. Dwayne Bastress, of course, got the first two, and he came home Friday night with a title in the 100 breaststroke and at the 2016 NCAA Division III Championships in Greensboro, North Carolina. So Kyle was just absolutely fantastic. He won by 0.03 seconds, 53.67 seconds, and it couldn't have been more exciting. Derek and I were actually in the office after the women's lacrosse game, and we're watching, and through the video, you really couldn't tell who won. And Derek says to me, "Hey, I think I thought I heard the announcer say his name, and they flash the scores at the bottom. You can barely see it and barely read it." And then the camera was on him, and he was celebrating. So
Coach Doyle was going nuts, too, and they cut away to him. It was pretty cool.
It was awesome. So to get to see a national champion, obviously the beauty of video, if this would have been 10 years ago, we never would have been able to watch it. We probably never even would have heard about it until 15, 20 minutes after it happened. So it's pretty exciting, and obviously Kyle's worked incredibly hard. And he swam. He was the top seed going in from the preliminaries when he swam he swam a 53.77, so he shaved 0.10 seconds off, which of a record which he set in the morning, and then reset the conference and school record in the evening swim with the national champion. He actually trailed. He got killed on the turns. The kid from Washington University did a great job on the turns, and Kyle he really bowled his way to the end, and I think that was the key. Probably after probably about 10 meters into the turn, after the turn, he started pouring it on and had just enough pull left to catch him. And it was pretty awesome. And then followed that up with a 7th place finish in the 200 breaststroke to earn All-American. So he completes his career as a 6-time All-American, a kid who was on the podium 4 different times, meaning you finished in the top 8 in the country. He'll be the most decorated swimmer in school history, and really he did a fantastic job and was a guy who just worked incredibly hard. And one thing I don't think people understand is he's been training for the last month by himself. There's nobody to swim against. He has been training by himself, which I think probably is unbelievably monotonous, but certainly a tip of the cap to him. And Coach Greg Doyle, who we'll talk to shortly, I said to him, 3 months and you got a national champ. That's setting the bar kind of high. And credit to Kyle. He had to go through a coaching change, which, when you're a senior and you've kind of done things the same way for 3 years, Coach Doyle asked him to change some things, and that's tough. Especially when you're as successful as he is. But he bought in and did a really good job of putting himself in position to earn the national championship.
Yeah, it's amazing. These guys train to improve by tenths of seconds. But, all the work goes in, and it pays off in the form of being the nation's best.
Yeah, and that 10th of a second can make a big difference. Obviously, in that championship race, really the only time he led was in the last 3 yards.
Wow.
I mean, it kind of reminded me of the Michael Phelps race from 2 Olympics ago, where he thought, it was such a close photo finish, and really it was that Kyle kind of lunged forward. His last stroke, he kind of lunged forward, and the guy next to him took one extra stroke, but because of that glide Kyle had, he was able to touch the wall just ahead of the guy next to him.
Somebody made the comment, he must not have trimmed his fingernails last night. So, and it's really that's true. I mean, it's so close. I don't even watching the video wasn't the greatest quality anyhow. But even if it was HD, I don't know that you can I don't know that you can physically see the difference in who touched the wall first. So.
Extremely. I was kind of watching their heads, and because the camera is kind of slightly behind them. It's not like it was right on the end of the pool deck. So I was kind of watching where their heads were as far as his looked slightly ahead, and then his hands, I could barely make out the hands touched just before, and then I heard the announcer say, and I believe that's Kyle Walthall. And I was like, wow, that's unbelievable. Because, they flashed the scores up, and it took him down really quick, but it was just a great. Yeah, we were Scott was out of his seat yelling at his computer. There was I think there was one other person in the office suite, or maybe no one was in there, but we were going nuts. We were screaming. It was just a great feeling. I mean, and it was funny because we were sitting there. We had everything ready to go, as far as graphics and stuff. And I turned to Scott 5 minutes before the race. I was like, "What if he wins?
What if he wins?" Seriously, because you don't.
Wins?
You never. Even though he was the number 1 seed, you never assume. And you just you want to be prepared, obviously, but it was literally the realization, and it took like 10 or 15 minutes to realize, holy crap, we have a national champion.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because you know how hard kids work, and you see the success that they have, and we didn't really get to see Dwayne's national championship. We got to see video afterwards, but we didn't actually get to witness it live. This was really neat. It was really cool, and certainly a huge thing to have happen for York College and for Kyle, obviously, for the swim program. And it just, he's the best in the country. So it's a pretty cool thing.
Just amazing. And like we alluded to, head coach Greg Doyle joins us on the program.
We are joined by York College head swim coach Greg Doyle. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
A very long weekend, but a very successful one for sure.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was like you said, a long weekend, lots of fast swimming. But to come home with a national champion, it's been one of the best years of coaching that I've put in.
Now, Kyle obviously had to go through some adjustments this year. Started the year with one head coach, ended it with another. How well did he adjust to the changes that you asked him to make during the course of the year?
There was definitely a lot of changes. He admitted that, and obviously they paid off. He did well with the transition. He bought in. I think he was hesitant at first, but he went with what I was kind of putting out there, and it paid off. He bought in and had a phenomenal year. As a senior, to be able to win a national championship in the 100 breaststroke, it's something that it comes very seldom.
What's the elation like when you realize, in this situation, he won by 0.03 seconds, which is so infinitely close, it's unbelievable. But what's the elation like when he touches that wall and you see the time and you realize he's won?
I don't even remember now at this point. I remember jumping up and down, having other colleagues around me just cheering. It's just the environment. It was wild. But winning by 0.03, it's something that, when he was coming into the wall, I didn't know which way it was going to go. He was coming in hard. The other kid had a bad finish. We had a great finish, and it won it. We went and he won it, and I'm extremely happy. It's unbelievable.
What does this mean to the program? Obviously, Kyle's an exceptional swimmer, a guy who's as talented as anybody we've ever had. But what does this mean in terms of recruiting and kind of, in a way, the prestige for the program?
It's definitely going to help recruiting. It's a flag in the hat for York swimming, and I think that moving forward, it's just going to continue to help on, build on recruiting. Having someone of that caliber do so well, I think it's gonna continue to build the Spartan program to success, and I'm looking forward to the future.
How motivating is it for a kid like Maddie Mann, who's not that far away from being the national type of swimmer? Can that be a motivating factor for her to see Kyle do so well?
Absolutely. Someone with like Maddie Mann as a freshman, it takes a strong mind in order to get to that meet that Kyle has. And, Kyle was in the same boat his freshman year, kind of missing the national meet. And, I think that with Maddie Mann and her future and her goals set high, she'll be just right where Kyle is. And, I look forward to even the incoming freshmen. We have quite a few that will contribute at that level.
Now, Kyle also got to swim to qualify for the U.S. national trials, which he was able to do. How big a feat is that?
Oh, it's great. I mean, just to be able to say that you're an Olympic trials qualifier, not looking at the bigger picture of where we may place in that meet, just being able to say that you're a trials qualifier is something that very few people get to do in a lifetime. Well,
congratulations. Time to now relax for a little bit for you. You get to move, finally. But now time to relax and then hit the recruiting trail. So thanks for joining us. Congratulations, and we'll look forward to speaking to you next fall.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Well, great first season for that man, and we appreciate him joining us again. And Scott, what's your sense of the immediate future for Kyle? And he's obviously got a spring semester of classes to finish, but what's next in the pool for him?
He qualified yesterday for the Olympic trials, so he has the ability to go to the Olympic trials and try and qualify for the Olympics, which is going to be infinitely difficult. He swam a 103.57 in the long course, which is a little bit longer than a traditional 100-yard breaststroke. So that decision is up to him, whether he wants to continue to train and do that. If not, I think Coach Doyle said he still has at least another semester to finish up. So I think it'll be interesting to see if he decides to continue to push himself for the opportunity to compete at the Olympic trials. That'll be in June in Omaha, or not. But certainly his accomplishments are, he'll go down as the greatest Spartan swimmer in history. I think I think he's pretty safe in that area right now. So but I think the program is really going in the right direction, and it's certainly exciting to see what's being accomplished and what's happening in the pool. And we're going to be very young next year. There's not going to be a lot of upperclassmen, and coaches recruited a lot of talented freshmen. So, I kind of see this as the beginning of things. He's going to be able to institute his training, all of his training policies now, which I think will be beneficial to our kids who are here and the kids that are coming in. So, I don't see anything but, we might go a year or two without having a bunch of people at nationals, but I see in the next 3 or 4 years we'll be sending 4, 5, 6 kids to compete at the national championships, which would be tremendous and would be huge for us.
Wow.
Yeah. I think you could go through a little bit of a dry spell like Scott said, because Kyle was such head and shoulders above everyone else on our team talent wise. But a Maddie Mann coming back as a sophomore another year, she's on the cusp of making it to the national stage, I would say. And
I think Morgan Schreiber,
another male swimmer, backstroke, who's been strong, multiple time conference champion. He could be another one who could make.
And he's a kid who didn't miss nationals by much this year.
He made the cut, the initial cut, but then as more times rolled in, he got shoveled towards the bottom of the list. But Maddie Mann, the women, and Schreiber on the men could be two people to look out for moving forward.
Well, again, congratulations, our national champ, third individual national champion in school history, as Scott said, with Dwayne Bastrus, the other two, about a decade ago, actually.
Yeah, it was 2006.
Yep.
And the reaction by Coach Bastrus was fantastic. He was so excited. Like, you would think, I don't want anybody else to join. He's all about it. He's like, it's about time. Let's get some more national champs in there. And he's, that's what kind of guy he is. He was so excited because, he's like, I want us to win. I want us to win now. I don't care what sport it is. I want to win national championships. So it's kind of cool to see him be so excited about something like that.
Yeah, his mentality is just, let's win as much as possible. So he was just, I think he made a comment on Instagram or somewhere, just welcome to the club. It's nice to have someone else up there with me. So he's all about winning and getting as many champions as possible.
Yeah, that's terrific. Can't wait to see the banner go up when that happens. And it's I feel like we could spend a major portion of the show on a national championship, but there's a lot of good stuff going on across the entire athletic program here this past week. Men's lacrosse continuing to move up. Baseball had a huge comeback over the weekend, so we'll break down all of that for you as we roll along here in just a moment here on York College Spartan Sports Weekly on Sports Radio 1350.
Hey, Dad, what's with all these papers and stuff?
Well, you're starting college in 2 weeks, and I'm doing some homework, cramming to find a college loan to pay the rest of your tuition. I'm afraid it's going to be an all-nighter, honey.
I wanted to talk to you about that, Dad. I think a student choice loan with York Educational FCU would be the best way to go.
YEFCU? We got a mortgage through them. Great rate, and I love the fact that they have free bill payer, but student loan?
Yeah, YEFCU student choice loan pays for my cost of attendance at York College or most other four-year schools, minus the financial aid I already received. The student choice loan would take care of tuition, books, room and board, all that stuff. But the best part is that YEFCU Student Choice Loan is a one-time application. That means next year, I just tell them how much I need, and they'll disperse the money right to the school.
So we don't have to reapply every year?
Nope. So step away from the homework, Dad. A Student Choice Loan is the best move we can make.
So we're not staying up all night? Oh, did I ever tell you about the night I did an entire term paper in one night with an old typewriter and no correction ribbon?
What's a typewriter?
York Educational Federal Credit Union, 1601 South Queen Street, York. Apply online at yefcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
Blazing fast service for all of your wipeouts. OSS Health Urgent Care will take care of all of your muscular and skeletal sprains, pops, twists, and breaks in minutes, not hours. Open 7 days a week for your urgent orthopedic needs. Now at two convenient locations, 1855 Powder Mill Road in York and 856 Century Drive in Mechanicsburg. Visit us online at osshealth.com. OSS Health Urgent Care. Experience you can trust.
Security in life isn't something you just wish for. You build it with a strong financial plan. Start with Northwestern Mutual. Together, we'll design a disciplined and balanced approach to financial security, because reaching your goals is something we both want to work toward. To learn more, contact me, Dan McGarry, at my office on the Square in York. Look for the blue awnings. Who's helping you build your financial future? The Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Your home for York's home team. The York College Spartans play here. Sports Radio 1350, WOYK, York.
Guys, we go from a national champion in an individual sport to a team that is certainly a national contender here at York College, and the men's lacrosse team continues to move up the polls this week. And Scott and Derek, I know Coach Childs is most interested in where they are at the end of the season, but it's still gratifying to see your team get that recognition and climb the ladder.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not sure that they could have a more difficult week in terms of not only schedule but who they were playing. They had a trio of games this week as they are now 7-1. They beat Elizabethtown 10-6, beat number 9 Nazareth 13-8 down at the Green Turtle Classic hosted by Stevenson University, and then dropped a 9-7 decision to number 14 Lynchburg also at the Green Turtle Classic. That was on Saturday. So they played Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and anybody that knows anything about lacrosse, that's not really a game that was meant to be played that many times in that shorter window. So, but they really a great week as they are now, as we said, 7-1 overall, ties for the best start in school history. That ties the 2014 team, and
up to fourth in the nation,
up to fourth in the country, which is
highest ranking ever.
Is kind of crazy.
Despite the loss, they move up.
Yeah, well, yeah. And they just got done with a schedule where they played Roanoke, number 10, Gettysburg, number 5, Elizabethtown not ranked, Nazareth, number 9, Lynchburg, number 14. So to play 4 nationally top 15 teams in the last 4 games and go, unless 5 games and go 4-1 in those games, pretty good. And, you know, they played in a snowstorm on Saturday. It was a weird weather day down in Stevenson. It actually didn't. We were up in York. We didn't get any snow, but you pull up the video from the game, and it was snowing pretty hard. Those big fat flakes, and you know, it was kind of nuts. But you know, they're continuing to play well against Elizabethtown. It was a performance. Matt Witcher had 3 goals. Dylan had a pair of goals. Hunter Davis had a pair of goals. Cameron Leach with 2 assists, a goal and 2 assists. And, they outshot Elizabethtown 50-16.
Yeah.
And pretty much a dominating performance. They outscored Elizabethtown 5-1 in the 4th to pull away for the win. So, it was a game that, York didn't play great, but was able to get the win.
Yeah, it's definitely a game where you have a target on your back. E-Town, who got us last year at their place, we had a feeling this is a typical trap game. You're looking ahead to 2 big games this past weekend against 2 ranked teams, but you have to get by E-Town first. And we were talking in the office that this is the definition of a trap game, where a team that's definitely inferior to you, but yet is still good enough that they can sneak up on you. And I think that was definitely the case. I don't think the intensity was there. Talking with some of the guys after the game, it was just took them a little while to get going and get amped up, and really it was a ball game the whole way until really 5 minutes to go. We tacked on 4 goals in the last 5 minutes, but so the score isn't really indicative of how close it was. But a good job, of our guys just sticking, grinding it out and sticking with it to get a win against an E-Town team who. Give them credit. They're tough. I mean, I think they can make some noise in their conference. Obviously, they have Stevenson in there, or no, they're in the Landmark. So they're, but I think they should make some good noise in their conference, and they're a quality opponent for sure.
Then they bounced. The Spartans came back on Friday and posted a 13-8 win over Nazareth. Nazareth had come into the game 4-0. They were averaging almost 16 goals a game. The Spartans held them to 8. So certainly a significant accomplishment. Dylan Hanna with 3 goals. Austin Glab had 3 assists in the game. Glab added a goal and 2 ground balls. Joey Fiorino had a goal, 4 ground balls, 2 caused turnovers. And then Conrad Ordakowski. Now here's a guy he is the definition of a grinder. Like, he does not get the glory, he does not get that, but he had 6 ground balls, which is a career high, on the wing at the faceoff. And he gets the tough ground balls. He's one of those guys that Coach talks about that he doesn't show up in the stat sheet very often. He doesn't, it's not a glorious thing, but without him, he's the kind of guy, he's the reason that he's one of the reasons, I should say, why we're doing as well as we are this year, because he's just a guy that gets the tough ground balls, and he's just a grinder, and you need to have guys like that, especially in lacrosse, to be really, really good, and he's been playing great. In fact, he has 15 ground balls in his last 3 games. No, I'm sorry, 16. That's right, 5, 6, and 5. So he has 16 ground balls his last 3 games, which is pretty impressive, and he has continuing to do a great job.
And when your offense is clicking as well as it is, and you can get performances from him like that, that's kind of what puts you over the edge. Where in years past, I don't think we quite had that. We had good offensive performances, but we didn't have guys like Conrad who do all the little things, and that's what's separated us and got us to 4th in the country and a 7-1 start.
And then they played Lynchburg on Saturday, a short, obviously, turnaround. Lynchburg last year lost in the national finals, and they have 2 explosive scorers coming back. But the Spartans did a good job defensively, only allowed 9 goals. They struggled a little bit offensively for the first time this year, and it was more a shooting percentage issue. And their goalie, the Lynchburg goalie, played well as well. They had a 37-35 advantage in shots, 32-26 in ground balls. They did commit 17 turnovers, which, coming off the Nazareth game, they had only had 6 miscues, which is fantastic. But Coach Child said they had 12 turnovers in the first half, and then to come back and only have 5 in the second half against the team. He was pretty happy. And after watching the film today, he said, he made a comment to me earlier today. We actually didn't really play that badly. We didn't shoot the ball well, which, much like a basketball team, sometimes that happens. You can play well and not shoot it. And I think that's what happened to the Spartans on Saturday.
Yeah, I think playing a tough schedule might have finally caught up with them too.
You're playing 3 games in 4 days. That's really tough. And Coach Childs admitted afterwards, because the Elizabethtown game had actually been scheduled before they get invited to the tournament. He goes, we won't make that mistake next year.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate circumstance.
But he said what a great atmosphere it was. Other teams encourage. Very rarely in lacrosse, even the NCAA tournament, do you have multiple teams at a site. They're all single game sites. So the ability to be around other teams and watch other teams play. He had made the comment that Denison as they were coming off the field and York was coming on Friday, Dennison's trying to pump our guys up like, hey, let's go York. And they're screaming at each other, like pumping each other up. And then when we left the field on Friday, we were doing the same for I think it was RIT.
Yeah, RIT.
So it was kind of a cool dynamic that was really neat. And he heard one of the RIT guys say to his teammate, hey, York's my new favorite Division III team. So it's kind of cool, that effect of having that. And it certainly is a lot of fun to watch and was, I think, a lot of fun to be a part of. Another note, Caleb Abney, who has just been outstanding, continues to play well for York in goal. He recently picked up his 42nd career win, which is 20 more than any other lacrosse goalie in Spartan history. So, yeah, he'll go down as an all-time great, likely a multi-time All-American, and he's been playing great right now.
Yeah.
And
he's another big reason.
Oh yeah, and you don't just mean big reason because he's a big guy, but no, I'll tell you what. I think the most impressive thing about Caleb Abney is how fast his hands and feet are. I mean, his feet
have gotten so much quicker this year.
It's unbelievable, and you can see the confidence he's playing with. It's just unbelievable, and he makes plays that you just kind of shake your head and go, "Wow, how did he do that?" But that's how Caleb is, and and he's got three guys in front of him defensively. Joey Fiorino, Bubba Kluver, and Garrett Barker, who are all-American caliber defensemen. And obviously, look at what the results were. They held Lynchburg below their scoring average. They've held Nazareth below their scoring average, significantly below their scoring average. So the ability to defend and then having Caleb behind them just makes us really tough to go against defensively.
I had a chance to bumped into Caleb the other day. Met him for the first time. Very
Great
likable.
Kid.
He
Great
is.
kid.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of a big goofy guy, but his personality is perfect for goalie. Like he plays with great confidence, but he also doesn't. If one gets by, because they're always going to get by, it's almost impossible. You're not shutting people out in men's lacrosse. It's kind of like, okay, well, next play. And his mentalities and his personality is perfect to be a great goalie.
Yeah. Well, Coach Childs joined you earlier today to recap the week and look ahead. Wednesday they'll be at Marymount for a night game, and then Saturday back home at 1 against Mary Washington. Here's what Coach Childs had to say about his team's recent play.
Joined by York College head men's lacrosse coach Brandon Childs. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
A big week, 3 games in 4 days, 2 nationally ranked teams. You come away 2-1. Obviously, you don't like to lose, but talk about the competition and how this week went for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was an awesome week. I can tell you yesterday when Sunday rolled around, I was pretty tired, and I'm sure our guys were too. It's a lot to prepare for, so trying to put together 3 different scouting reports of 3 different teams that do things differently presented a little bit of a challenge for us, but I think that our team responded to all of it very, very well. Wednesday we played a really scrappy Elizabethtown team that played really hard, and made us earn that win. And then to have one day to prepare for a top 10 team and a team that scores as many goals as Nazareth does, gave us a whole new challenge. But I was really proud of the way that we played Friday. We just really controlled the middle of the field throughout the game, which gave us enough possessions to outscore them. And to hold Nazareth to 8 goals is an accomplishment. They were coming in averaging somewhere above 13 or 14 goals a game. So to be able to do that with just one day of preparation was huge. And then it only got more difficult having no days to prepare for the defending national runner-up, who brought back their entire offense from a national championship run. So. But again, I was proud of the way we played on Saturday. I didn't necessarily like the outcome because we dropped it, but to battle the way we did and to win some of the statistical category. I mean, we outshot them, we outgroundballed them. We cleared it better than they did. We just missed some extra man opportunities that would have given us a chance to win the game, and that's what they did. They went 2 for 2 on man up, and we didn't. And I think that stat there kind of dictated the outcome of the game.
You've run through a very challenging gauntlet, 4 games in 5 against nationally ranked teams. You've come through it 4-1. Are you happy with where your team's at right now?
I am, and not so much record-wise. I told my team after the game Saturday night that the first 8 games, I like to divide our seasons into 3 seasons. We have kind of our non-conference slate to get us ready, then our conference slate is season 2, and then the playoffs is season 3. So we have season one behind us, and my goal for season one is to get better, get exposed at the things we need to improve on, and then work real hard to improve on them so that way when conference play in season two rolls around, we're good to go. And I feel like having this first group behind us now, obviously I'm thrilled that we've won more games than we've lost, but the reality is I'm really happy with where our team is at practice every day, and some of the growth that we've done and the maturity that we're playing with a pretty young group here going into the conference schedule.
I heard you make the comment after the game against Lynchburg that this weekend kind of helped you find out some things about yourselves and your team. What are some of those things that you found out?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I'd say is I think we found out our identity a little bit. I think defensively we're pretty stout. I think on the defensive side of the field, and we should be. That's where most of our returners are. But I think we do a really good job of playing team defense. And then we have some guys on that end of the field that are pretty special players, and can kind of win their matchup. And so defensively, I think that's kind of our identity. Now, I think where we were kind of challenge was offensively, and I'm happy with the way that we played. But it revealed mid-weekend some of the things that we need to do to get better, and we were able to do it right there on the fly. So you've got a 10-minute halftime. You've scored 2 goals in the first half, and you make some adjustments, and then in the second half, we generated 17 shots in the fourth quarter against Lynchburg after only taking 11 in the whole first half. And so to be able to do that on the fly in a locker room in 10 minutes and have your team respond to it, that was what I was speaking to, Saturday night. And I think as we can go out and now get on the practice field and in the film room and explain it to them in a little different setting than a locker room, I think we'll really grow offensively.
Is it kind of nice, you've played 2 teams this weekend with clear offensive stars. We're not that offense. We're very balanced. If you look down the line, there's 5 or 6 guys that are in double figures in points. Does that make us a little tougher to prepare for?
There's no doubt. I mean, I'm a Lynchburg alum, so I spoke to Coach Kadelka yesterday and then again this morning about, just picking each other's brains on each other's teams. And he spoke to number 28, Thomas Pfeiffer, who came in kind of late in the game against Nazareth and scored right away, and then we used him in the second half against Lynchburg, and he was just speaking about how dangerous he felt that kid was, and maybe this is wrong, but I guess depth-wise he's somewhere 7 through 9 in the midfield rotation and 4 at the attack rotation. And so when you have coaches saying that about your depth, and that they fear that guy, that lets you sleep at night knowing not just that we can send a lot of guys on the field on game day and get a result, but if somebody were to go down injury-wise and things like that, to know that we'll be just fine. And I think that's a testament to why we're good on defense, is I think every day in practice, it doesn't matter if our defense is guarding our first 3 or our last 3, they're getting challenged every day in practice. In a lot of cases, they find that more challenging than they do the competition they're seeing on game day, which is huge for a program.
How much difference has that depth, that quality depth, not just depth, but quality depth, how much a difference has that made on for this team this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing it helps is your culture of your team. As you look out on our field throughout the day, you'll see a lot of guys that get a lot of minutes working on their game, and that's because there's depth that are pushing them every day in practice. If they're not doing that extra work, they're going to get passed by, and they know it. And it's just helped us off the field just as much as it's helped us on the field, and that's been great for us. I mean, obviously on the field to be able to run a lot of fresh legs at teams and not rely on the same guys every day has been great. But I think off the field it's been great too. And then there's no 2 ways about it. In practice, when you're preparing for other teams that have these great scorers, you have to pick people in practice to emulate those scorers. And, we've got some guys in our program that haven't played a lot of minutes on game day, but I think have emulated the other team's best player, maybe in some instances even better in practice for us. And those guys will get their reward soon, and the future's certainly bright.
All right, thank you very much. At Marymount on Wednesday and Mary Washington at home on Saturday. So conference play kicks off, and as you get ready for that second segment of the season, good luck.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, Scott. Thanks, Coach. Derek wanted to touch on the women's lacrosse team as well and the latest update there.
Spartans went 2-0 this past week. They are up to 8th in the polls, 4th straight week at number 8 ranking. They had 2 games back-to-back, Friday and Saturday. Friday against SUNY Geneseo, they picked up a 5-4 win before destroying Wesley on Saturday by a score of 18-0. It was pretty ugly. But on Friday, it was against Geneseo. It was a really tight game. Spartans pulled out a 5-4 win. Really a clash of 2 good styles of an offense in York that came in averaging just 7 goals a game, and defense in Geneseo, who's ranked 8th in the country in scoring defense, giving up just 5. So something had to give there, and fortunately enough, the Spartans were able to squeak it out and get enough goals to advance and get the win. Just a couple notes. It was just really a tough day offensively. The Spartans recorded season lows in shots with 12s, draw controls and 5, ground balls with 10, and managed just 7 total team points. But they were good with the ball. They only committed 10 turnovers. And really what I guess the saving grace of the day was free position. We had second most free position goals of the season with 4. So we were able to capitalize on our chances and make the most out of them. Had a 91% shot on goal percentage. We were 11 of our 12 shots were on goal. So made the most of our opportunities when we needed to, and that ultimately made the difference. And then on Saturday, it was, to call it a game, I guess would be kind of a bit of an understatement.
It would be an insult to games all over the world.
Like I said, 18-0 final over Wesley. Spartans jumped out to a 5-0 lead before the first 5 minutes of the game were recorded, so we're averaging a goal per minute pace there if you're doing the math at home. And then,
if you are, why?
So really a hot start for the Spartans, got things rolling. And then in women's lacrosse, if you get up by 10 goals or more, or 10 goals, the clock, it's a running clock from that point on. And York built up a 10-0 lead just past the midway point of the first half, which is pretty impressive. And during that stretch, that 10-goal run, Kaylee Phillips led the Spartans with 3 goals, while Caitlin Cotrano led with 6 points. She finished the game with 6 points as she scored 1 goal and dished out 5 assists on that run. And then the Spartans continued to build up a lead, eventually led 14-0 at halftime. And Phillips and Sky Slater both finished the half with hat tricks. And then Kelly Coran also was the third Spartan to record a hat trick in the game as she scored some goals in the second half. So that the Spartans, with that win, the Spartans now extend their win streak to 40 games against an unranked opponent. So it's a pretty good stat there. And, it wasn't really much of a game, but, sometimes you need those to kind of break up the schedule a little bit. It's been a tough schedule all year, and
it's going to get tough again on Wednesday.
It's going to get tough again on Wednesday as they travel to Gettysburg, the fifth-ranked team in the country. But it was good to get some players in the game that didn't get much playing time all year, and kind of get a good look at some of your reserves and get an idea of who can do what. So, that's the update on women's lacrosse.
All right, Derek, thank you for that. At Marymount on Saturday as well.
Yep.
Wednesday, the start of a 3-game road stretch for them.
You got it. You're all over it.
All over that YCPSpartans.com page. Accurate information abounds.
Allegedly.
My source.
We like to say it's information for life.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll talk about baseball and softball coming up, and track and field. What do they call it when they shoot off the start of the meet? The
opening gun?
Yeah, they had the opening gun of their season.
Yeah,
this past weekend. See what I did there?
Would
have gone better had I known.
Yeah,
had I not had to ask.
Could have been a little smoother, but that's okay.
Whatever. Point got across.
We still love you.
Oh, thank you for that. Oh, baseball, a huge comeback against a nationally ranked team over the weekend, and we'll have all the details next on Spartan Sports Weekly.
Turn this on.
The Rich Eisen Show.
He is unbelievable.
Rich Eisen.
Let's go to the phone lines. They are lit. Catherine in South Carolina. Can I help you?
Yes, I am having emotional distress. I'm going to sue the Jones family.
Don't.
This is crazy. It's the most stupid, idiotic thing. The Jones are screwing this up. And I am sick. I've left work. I'm nauseous. He's strung us out on DeMarco.
Well, what about the idea that anybody could run behind that offensive line, Catherine? Catherine, you don't buy that one?
DeMarco is family. He and Tony and Jason do everything together. He's family. I just started to be a Cowboys fan again, and happiness has just plunged to despair. What the Jones has done to my emotional state, they should be sued.
Don't go litigious on me here, okay?
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. First in York, first in sports. York Revolution Baseball plays here. Catch all 140 games of accurate reporting.
Actually, is that Travis Scott behind the plate now?
It's been Travis Scott behind the plate all night.
Are you serious? Not on the lineup sheet, it's not.
Unbiased observation.
Oh, there's a big flash.
Well, they just stand there.
Yeah.
Not the players, to be honest.
Maybe they can't see that either.
And mature professional commentary.
It's nice to have you back, Ray. You were away, meow, yesterday. Now whines, meow, in the pitch. It is outside. Who's listening in the clubhouse tonight, meow?
My money's on Rami Lewis. Yeah.
I can't do it anymore.
Revs Baseball, all season on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. First in York, first in sports. We're Screamin' Green. How about you? The York College Spartans are on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
All right, guys, to the diamonds we go, beginning with baseball, and then softball, and first, Scott.
All right, well, we'll give you the good news first.
Yes.
The good news is the Spartans are 4-2 in the league. The bad news, they're 6-12 overall. So
this is baseball.
This is baseball. Conference play has gotten off to a good start for York. Last week, they began the week with an 8-0 win over St. Mary's. Actually, it was a 3-0 lead until the 8th inning when York tacked on 5 to earn the 8-0 win. But Randy Frankenfield, through 6 strong innings, allowed one hit, no runs, walked 2 and struck out 6. And for that, he earned the Capital Athletic Conference Pitcher of the Week as the Spartans picked up the win over St. Mary's. It was a solid display as York really, as I said, in conference play has been pretty good. You know, York scored 1 in the first and 2 in the second and then nothing until the 8th. But Scott Steffi actually pitched the final 3 innings to earn the save. The old 3-inning save. As he allowed 3 hits and no runs as they combined for the first shutout in 42 games last March 31st when they shut out Southern Virginia 17-0. So York is now all-time 55-16 against St. Mary's. So it was a pretty impressive performance for York. Pat Clement, 2 for 4, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. Steve Miller had 2 hits and was on base all 4 times with a pair of walks. And Seth Brocious 1 for 4 with a run scored. So a good day to be a Spartan on Wednesday as they picked up the win. Thursday, not so good a day to be a Spartan as they dropped a 25-9 decision to Susquehanna in what was a 3-hour and 38-minute slugfest.
Wow.
The Spartans actually led 6-2 in the game. They were tied 7-7 in the 4th. Susquehanna scored 4 in the 5th, 3 in the 7th, 4 in the 8th, and tacked on a touchdown in the 9th to earn the win.
Do you still keep score on paper?
I do, actually.
Yeah.
I do. It looked like a hieroglyphics fest. It was not the prettiest thing in the world. But, you know, and it was one of those things where just bad things happened and it just kind of snowballed. And you know what that's like in baseball.
Oh,
you know, we walked 13 guys. We made 6 errors, and they had 24 hits. You add all those numbers up, that's a lot of base runners. You know, and you can't have that much traffic on base and not have bad things happen. And obviously, if you score 9 runs, you should feel like you should win the game. That was not the case on Thursday. However, they bounced back on Saturday with a split against Christopher Newport in what was probably one of the more dramatic games that we've seen at Chiquette Field in a while. Game 1, the Captains took a 2-1 lead early. Both teams scored 4 runs in the 6th. The Captains scored 2 in the 7th. York got 1 back They scored 2 in the 8th as they were up 10-6. The Spartans scored 6 times in the bottom of the 8th inning to take an 11-10 lead, and then Will Grega came on to earn the save as the Spartans defeated number 15 Christopher Newport 11-10. Newport got the split in the second game as they won 8-4. Not a bad game. There was the captain scored 1 in the 4th and 4 in the 5th to kind of push out to a 7-1 lead. York scored 3 in the bottom of the 6th, but that wouldn't be enough as they fell 8-4 in a game that was still almost 3 hours long. So, we don't play quick games this year. It feels like we play very long games, but some good performances in the opener. Sean Mulholland was 2 for 4, 3 runs scored, 2 RBIs. He had a home run and a double. Steve Miller 2 for 5, a run scored and an RBI double. That RBI double drove home Mulholland and gave the Spartans the 11-10 lead. Colin Crowell was 2 for 3, 2 RBIs and a run scored, and Pat Clement was 1 for 3, 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored. And it was a situation where Chris Wolf came out of the bullpen and kind of stemmed the tide a little bit, and then Grega was able to come in and get. He allowed a leadoff hit in the 9th inning, so you kind of feel Christopher Newport had gotten a leadoff hitter on in 5 innings. They'd scored in all 5 innings. So top of the 9th inning, we allow a base hit, and it's like, oh, here we go again. But he was able to get out of it. They sacrificed him the second, then he got a pop-up to second, and a nice play by Colin Crowell on a pop-up behind short. He ran out and was able to flag it down, and the Spartans picked up the win. So, it's one of those situations where they're very focused on conference play right now because that's what's going to really ultimately enable them to get in the NCAA tournament with their overall record already. That's probably too many losses to get in as an at-large. But the CAC is it's an interesting situation right now, as it is a jumbled mess at the top of the conference standings. Salisbury sits near the top. I'm going to pull up the standings here in a second, and I can really tell you what they are, but they are a kind of a crazy, crazy mess right now. And part of that is there's a good number of good teams in the league that have the ability to win the conference, quite frankly. And that's something that really hasn't happened before. Marymount actually is atop at 4-0, but they're playing 2 games today against St. Mary's. Salisbury's 5-1. Christopher Newport, York 4-2. Frostburg 3-3. Wesley 3-3. Penn State Harrisburg 2-4. Southern Virginia 2-4. Mary Washington 1-5. Wait a second. They started out the season 14-1 overall.
What?
They are now 15-7 overall. So, and I think they're still a good team, and they're gonna win a bunch of league games. And then St. Mary's 0-4. But it's all jumbled up. There's Frostburg State, one of the favorites going in, is 3-3. Christopher Newport at 4-2. They're really talented offensively. Holy cow, they can punish the baseball. And the Spartans did a good job to get out of that with a split. So there's a lot of games left in the CAC. I mean, they play 18 conference games. The Spartans have played 6. So by my math, that means we're a third through the schedule. You like that? So, you're still in a situation where there's a lot of games left to be played, and the opportunity to do well in the CAC is right there. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this season shakes out. This week, they're going to head on the road for a game at Johns Hopkins on Tuesday. Then they head to Frostburg State on Wednesday. They'll be home against Randolph-Macon on Thursday, and then trips to Southern Virginia on Saturday, and then F&M next Monday. So they'll play 6 games between now and the next time we reconvene on Monday. So there'll be only 3 conference games out of that, Frostburg and Southern Virginia. So it'll be interesting to see how they can pull through that. And then after the Randolph-Macon game, they're not at home again until Wednesday the 6th against Frostburg State. So a little bit of an extended road swing for the Spartans, and have an opportunity to see how they can improve the record, not only in conference but also overall.
All right. Well, certainly the highlight was the shutout of St. Mary's Wednesday and the epic comeback against Christopher Newport on Saturday, and hopefully that can propel them a little bit. And
you do a great job of breaking that down. I just talked for like 5 minutes, and you broke it down in like 30 seconds.
Just a recap.
I like it.
Just footnotes.
He's a professional.
He is a professional.
Half the time. Derek, softball, what's the latest there?
Just one doubleheader this past week. Spartans came into the week with a 6-game win streak, but unfortunately they saw that streak come to an end as they went up to Messiah this past Thursday. Messiah ranked 25th in the country in a perennial powerhouse program. First game, Spartans lost 3-0, and it was just a frustrating performance as they only managed to record 3 hits in that game. It's just the third time the Spartans have been shut out this season. The 3 hits on the day is the lowest total of the season. And it's also the third time the Spartans were held without an extra base hit this season. But defensively played pretty well. Didn't commit a fielding error, which is the 5th time this year. So then in Game 2, a little more action offensively. Spartans unfortunately lost that game 8-5. Messiah jumped out to a 5-0 lead through the first 3 innings. York was able to get 2 back in the top of the 4th, but then Messiah tacked on 3 more in the bottom of the 6th. York made a little bit of noise in the top of the 7th with 2 outs. But anytime you're playing with 2 outs, you're playing with fire. But they were able to get 3 runs back with 2 outs, but eventually ended up a strikeout ended the game as they fell 8-5. And really, in Game 2, it was the fielding that came back to bite them. Recorded 3 errors, which is which matches a season high. And I'm pretty sure all of those errors led directly to runs. So it was tough. We got a good pitching performance from Courtney Martin. She actually had to lead the game. She got hit on the hand. And there was a lot of weird plays in that game where a lot of balls hit back up the middle for both teams, but she caught one off the hand and had to lead the game. But she was doing well, just couldn't get the support behind her that she needed. But it was kind of the opposite from Game 1 as far as an offensive perspective. The Spartans had 4 doubles by 4 different players. It's just the 3rd time this year they've recorded 4 doubles in a game. The 2nd time 4 players have recorded doubles in a game. And after having no extra base hits in Game 1, York came back and had a season-high 4 in Game 2. So really a frustrating twin bill up at Messiah. Game 1, you have nothing going offensively. And credit Messiah. I mean, they're really a really, really strong team, a really solid team. And then in the Game 2, you get the runs, you get some hits going, but the errors, which weren't there in Game 1, appear in Game 2 and come back to ultimately bite you. But good start for softball. They're off to an 11-5 start. Still have yet to play a conference game. Coming up this week, they'll be up at Lycoming on Thursday for a doubleheader, which was supposed to be yesterday, but because of the threat of snow and weather, it got rescheduled to Thursday, and then they will open up conference play on Saturday as they travel to good old Southern Virginia. You know about that place, Darrell, one of your all-time favorites.
Quite well.
Down there.
Yes.
So hopefully looking to get off to a... What's that?
I'm sorry. It's quite the atmosphere.
Oh, I imagine. I can only imagine. So hopefully they can get a sweep down there and open conference play on a good note. But 11-5, looking.
We'll see if Melissa Yurkevich can throw another perfect game.
Yeah, that's right. Perfect game last year at home against Southern Virginia. So
#game notes.
#game notes.
Well, it's interesting. We've if people have been on the website, they've noticed that the format of the game recaps have changed a little bit.
Oh, I like it.
I do too, and I kind of like. I've always enjoyed writing. I don't know if people have enjoyed reading my writing, but I've enjoyed writing. But this kind of is cool because you can work some things in that I think you would normally not work into a traditional game story. So I kind of like the notes and the
especially
ability
baseball
to do
and softball.
that.
You can kind of look at
breakdown
of
you
things.
You can break down and do some things that you might not be able to do. So I hope people enjoy them, and it's something that's a little bit easier in terms of time commitment to write than writing out everything. And we've gotten a pretty good response from it, but it's enjoyable to kind of do a little bit more research and add some things and be able to do some things a little bit differently than what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
YCPSpartans.com, baby.
Good plug.
Okay. We'll head to our last segment of the program. Thank you, gentlemen, for our trip around the diamond, and we'll wrap it up. Nice. Track and field off to a wonderful start over the weekend against Elizabethtown up at their place, and Derek will have the breakdown of that here on Spartan Sports Weekly, Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. There's no running from it. Tax season will be here before you know it. The professionals at Frank Storm & Company can help alleviate the headache. Voted one of the best for 14 years by the York Dispatch readers for both your personal and business tax needs, Frank Storm & Company makes the process easy. Payrolls, sales tax, compilations for your business, in addition to your personal tax service. Call today to set up your appointment at one of 3 convenient locations: York, Dallastown, and Hanover. Committed to personalized quality service, Frank Storm & Company. Visit online at frankstorm.com stormandco.com.
At Northwestern Mutual, we take a disciplined and balanced approach to financial planning. Together, we'll help build your financial future on time-tested principles, not market trends, so you can take advantage of life's opportunities. To learn more, contact me, Dan McGarry, at my office on a square in York. Look for the blue awnings. Who's helping you build your financial future? The Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
At OSS Health, our highly trained physicians are on the field, in the training room, at home games, or away. From preseason physicals to postseason surgery, we're on the sidelines so athletes don't have to be, getting you back in the game. When it comes to sports medicine, we're the ones you've trusted for 30 years. OSS Health Sports Medicine, experience you can trust. Visit us online at osshealth.com.
Your home for the Spartans. Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Taking you up to the Sixers and the Pacers coming up. By the way, guys, I was at the Sixers game Friday night.
That's right.
It was great.
Oh, how was it?
Oh, awesome. Against OKC.
Oh,
It lost.
Future San Antonio Spur. That's my call right now.
Oh.
He's going to San Antonio.
With Kawhi Leonard.
Maybe. Yeah. I think that's very possible.
Ooh-wee.
Can you imagine? And LaMarcus Aldridge.
Oh, yeah.
How good could they be?
Yeah.
I mean, they're already really good. And
The
Danny
new big
Green's
three.
still kind of young. They just need to find a point guard.
Impressive to see him in person.
And quite frankly, Popovich is the best coach in the NBA. I don't
Somebody's
think it's even
ringing
close.
here. Yeah.
I know.
No, you're right.
Anyhow.
Unknown caller.
No,
Never
that
good.
was Junior. Junior calling. He must be home from school now. So
Junior Galette.
I usually get the not Junior Galette.
All right. Well, Derek, we'll lead into the Sixers with our track and field update.
That's a great setup.
They were great at E-Town on Saturday. Great start to the year.
Yeah, absolutely. A fantastic start in the first outdoor meet of the year on a really crappy day weather-wise. The women, let's start with them. They finished second out of 15 teams with a score of 120 points at the E-Town Early Bird Opener. Jada Griffin-Howard placed first in the 400-meter dash and also captured a second-place finish in the 200. Sophomore Morgan Jones placed first in the 400-meter hurdles and anchored the 4x4-meter relay team that earned a second-place finish. Sophomore Jen Peters also had a first-place finish on the day in the pole vault. And then the 4x1-meter relay team of Marissa Brisbane, Hannah Conway, Bria Jones, and Jada Griffin-Howard placed first with a time of 52.21 seconds. So they were booking around the track. The women had 20 top 8 performances on the day to finish in the points. And then moving over to the men's side, pair of Spartans captured first-place finishes. Darrell Tillman actually had 2 on the day. He placed first in the 100 and 200-meter dash, and also ran a leg of the 4x4 relay team that placed third. Senior thrower Alex Palascandolo continues to have success as he moves to outdoor, as he placed first in the discus throw with a distance of 136 feet 2 inches. He also competed in the hammer throw, where he scored a distance of 97 feet 9 inches, and he competed in the shot put, which is his main event, but according to the results, he fouled out, so that's unfortunate. He wasn't able to place there, else he probably would have won the event. And then the men also had 22 total top 8 finishes on the day, bringing the team total to 42 combined on both the men and the women. So outstanding performance on the day for the Spartans. The men, I'll mention, they finished third out of 16 teams. So second and third for both teams. That's a great way to start the year. And then Spartans their next event is actually at home on the York College Twilight Meet this Wednesday, starting at 2 p.m. So you can come out and get to catch the Spartans in action on their home track and field, which is pretty cool. Always a good time, that Twilight Meet. Starting a little bit earlier this year and cut the field down, so we won't need the
portable lights.
Hopefully, allegedly. But it should be a good meet. Some good teams coming in, and it's always fun to watch the track.
Good stuff, Derek.
Oh, thank you, Darrell.
All right, guys. It's been fun this week. We had a national champion to talk about, another team moving up the national ranks, and looking forward to what's in store this coming week. We'll be back next Monday at 6.
Can't wait. Go Sixers.
Indeed. Go Sixers. They're coming up. Nothing, Scott? Nothing from you?
I'm still surprised the Sixers are still allowed to play in the NBA, but, what do I know?
And coming up next, Browns offseason talk.
No, there's none of that. No.
Boy.
The radios are already clicking off around York County. We don't need that. We don't need it to make it worse.
Well, we'll click off ours. This has been your College Spartan Sports Weekly. Thanks for listening. And again, Sixers and Pacers up next here on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Your home for York's home team. The York College Spartans play here. Sports Radio 1350 WOYK, York.
Coming up next, Browns offseason talk.